Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We begin tonight in Steuben County. Officials say the pandemic could make some people more vulnerable to human trafficking. Big Fox News' Matt Kleindienst joins us in Corning with the circumstances that put some people at risk.
Good evening. A representative with Potter's Hands Foundation says that anyone who's placed in a vulnerable situation risks being exploited. County officials recognized earlier this month the danger some people could face in the midst of the pandemic. From increased online use by students to increased job loss, circumstances of COVID-19 could put individuals in vulnerable situations.
Anytime you have an individual who's in a desperate situation like that, they are at a greater risk for trafficking.
Deborah Kierner of Potter's Hands Foundation says people who are struggling to provide for their families or dealing with drug abuse can be in a position to be taken advantage of.
And if they get involved with the wrong people, then they can easily find themselves in a situation of trafficking.
She also says kids are at risk with them being online for remote learning.
And so kids have access to the internet probably at a much younger age, unsupervised than they ever would have.
Kierner says it's important now more than ever to make residents aware of the danger some people face.
If we don't let government leaders, if we don't have law enforcement informed, if we don't have social service agencies informed, then we're doing a disservice to the people in our community who are being trafficked.
Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox WYDC, Corning.
President Biden spends his first full day in office tackling the COVID-19 crisis and the vaccine rollout. COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker tells us why President Biden has to create a plan from scratch.
For many Americans, the pandemic may be the worst thing they've lived through. But for President Biden and his team, they've just discovered that the outgoing administration never really had a plan for tackling COVID-19 or for distributing millions of vaccines to Americans coast to coast. That's why Biden spent his first full day on the job focusing on the federal pandemic response, signing 10 executive orders addressing different aspects of the crisis. The orders include guidance on safely reopening schools, details on how to provide 100 million vaccine doses to Americans by April, and invoking the Defense Production Act, which helps step up manufacturing of PPE, as well as testing and vaccine equipment. Biden also wants to increase development of therapeutics to help treat COVID-19 infections. But he is also creating a COVID-19 response office, which will conduct regular briefings and coordinate the federal response and communication. In addition, he is creating a national pandemic testing board. They will ramp up testing and reporting capacity nationwide, and a COVID-19 health equity task force. That group will help provide equal response and recovery for disenfranchised Americans. And states may be getting a little relief as well. Biden is now directing FEMA to pay states back for the cost of deploying National Guard personnel to places like nursing homes and for the cost of emergency personal protective equipment supplies that had to be bought for schools. President Biden will also be meeting with Dr. Anthony Fauci and his coronavirus team later in the week. Now, the president is also proposing a $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package, but that's already being met with some pushback from congressional lawmakers. Senator Mitt Romney, for example, saying today, "I am not looking for a new program in the immediate future," referring to they had just passed a bill in late December. Biden promises to meet with congressional lawmakers in the coming days to try and work out a deal. I'm COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker reporting.
President Biden is already in the Oval Office signing executive actions just a short time after being sworn in. Whitney Wild has the latest from Washington.
A star-studded end to an historic inauguration day.
This is a great nation. We're a good people. And to overcome the challenges in front of us requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy: unity.
This is what President Joe Biden has called upon us to summon now. The courage to see beyond crisis, to do what is hard, to do what is good, to unite.
President Joe Biden signing 15 executive actions and 2 agency actions, targeting many of former President Trump's policies.
Some of the executive actions I'm going to be signing today are going to help change the course of the COVID crisis, and we're going to combat climate change in a way that we haven't done so far.
Democrats have officially taken power in the executive and legislative branches of government. Vice President Kamala Harris making it official, swearing in 3 new Democratic senators, including John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock of Georgia, who tipped the balance of power in the Senate.
You will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter, so help you God.
I do.
Congratulations.
Now, in the tradition of firsts, the first White House press briefing of the Biden-Harris administration, highlighting the president's new executive actions and their plan to tackle the pandemic.
The issue that he wakes up every day focused on is getting the pandemic under control.
President Biden is expected to invite the 4 top congressional leaders to the White House soon to discuss his legislative agenda. An administration official also says the meeting could come as early as Friday, but the exact timing of the meeting has not yet been set. President Biden spent time with the top congressional leaders at Mass and later at the Capitol on Wednesday. Now, this meeting would be the first formal meeting in the Oval Office to set the tone for the president's agenda amid the new dynamic in Congress. And President Joe Biden intends to keep FBI Director Christopher Wray in his post. That's according to a senior administration official. Wray has more than 6 years remaining in his term. During the transition, Biden signaled his plan to keep the bureau's leader on board if he wasn't fired first by President Trump. Wray faced criticism from Trump on a number of issues. Currently, Wray's team of federal investigators is chasing thousands of leads to prosecute people involved in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The head of the World Health Organization expressed his satisfaction with the decision by President Joe Biden to keep the country in the institution. The Director General tweeted today that, "WHO is a family of nations. We are all glad that the United States of America is staying in the family." The WHO chief went on to thank the United States for joining the ACT Accelerator and COVAX initiatives for vaccine development and distribution. Amazon wasted no time reaching out to the new Biden administration to get the coronavirus vaccine for its essential workers. In a letter to President Biden on Wednesday, Amazon says it stands ready to assist in getting 100 million Americans vaccinated in the first 100 days. But the online retail giant also wants its 800,000 U.S. employees moved up on the priority list to get the vaccine. In October, Amazon said more than 19,000 of its frontline U.S. employees have tested positive or been presumed positive for coronavirus. Officials held a procession today for 3 service members killed when an Army National Guard helicopter crashed in upstate New York on Wednesday. The crash happened in Mendon, roughly 20 miles south of Rochester. The New York Army National Guard said the UH-60 medical evacuation helicopter was on a routine training mission when it crashed. The cause isn't clear yet. The FAA and National Guard will investigate. With the southern tier seeing more freezing temperatures, people experiencing homelessness are in need of shelter. Catholic Charities of Chemung and Schuyler counties run local homeless shelters and welcome anyone in a Code Blue event. With the pandemic making it more difficult for people to find shelter with family and friends, Catholic Charities is committed to offering services to those in need.
We haven't stopped any of our services. We want to be able to meet the needs for people that are experiencing the extreme cold and be able to get them blankets and food and just be able to take care of them during this time.
Shelters run by Catholic Charities appreciate any and all donations. You can donate by logging on to the link below. The jobs crisis soared during Donald Trump's last full week as president. The U.S. Labor Department reported Thursday 900,000 Americans filed for unemployment benefits for the first time. That was on a seasonally adjusted basis. The number is down slightly from the prior week when claims rose to 926,000. However, there haven't been any real improvements for months. Millions of Americans still need government help to make ends meet. The Department of Labor said nearly 424,000 Americans applied for pandemic unemployment assistance that provides aid for self-employed or gig workers. Some people are willing to drive hours and cross state lines to get vaccinated for COVID-19. Muriel Bailey reports.
Mark and Connie Wallace are one step closer to being protected from COVID-19.
This is just God's grace as far as I'm concerned. I don't believe in luck, coincidence, chance, karma, any of that. I believe in God's grace.
Last weekend, the couple drove almost 2 hours from their home in Shelby County to Carroll County, Georgia to get vaccinated.
They knew that we were coming from out of state, and they said that that was fine. So we didn't feel like we were pushing anybody else out, which we didn't want to do.
Mark Wallace made it a priority to get his wife Connie vaccinated. She's 68 and has underlying health issues. After countless searches, he was able to book an appointment online with the Georgia Publix pharmacy.
I'd actually been on the Florida site trying to get a vaccine for her in Bay County. I would have gone 8 hours away if I'd had to.
After the shot, it was a moment of gratitude.
I started thinking Connie was having a reaction because she was getting so emotional, but it was not from the shot. It was just, again,
I was so excited.
So thankful.
And very thankful
yeah.
that we were able to get it.
To remember that thankfulness, they plan to hold on to their vaccine appointment card.
This card is going in that blessing box. This is just another one of those great blessings that we have gotten from God.
The Wallaces say they do plan to drive back to Georgia next month for their second dose.
Still ahead tonight, in his first executive order, President Joe Biden enacted the 100 Days Masking Challenge in an effort to slow the spread of COVID-19.
For God's sake, wear a mask if not for yourself, for your loved ones, for your country.
More on what that means for Americans coming up.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Attar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. A lot warmer today than it was yesterday. Highs yesterday weren't even above freezing, but today we did manage to get into the 30s. But even with that said, it was definitely still cold outside. 13 degrees warmer in Watkins Glen. In Bath, about 13 as well. Corning, about 13 degrees warmer, and 11 degrees warmer in Elmira. And we're going to stay with temperatures above freezing through your Friday, but we're expecting a plunge downward as we head into the weekend. Tomorrow, it will be a blustery day. Snow showers will be possible as well, and there could be lines of snow showers that will be coming throughout the day. But again, with those blustery winds, it's going to make those temperatures feel so much colder. So we're looking at readings around 28 degrees at 6 o'clock, but it's going to feel like the teens. Temperature readings around 34 degrees at 10, with wind chills at around 18 degrees. And then those temperatures will be dropping throughout the afternoon with readings only in the 20s as we head toward the late afternoon into the evening hours. This comes as a cold front pushes in and is going to leave us with chilly conditions for your Saturday. So this is what we're going to have to deal with as we head into the weekend. It will feel like between 0 to 10 degrees, especially on Saturday morning, and it looks like the rest of the region is in on that cold as well. And it looks like we're not going to see much of an improvement throughout the weekend. So here's a look at your future radar. Snow showers will be possible tonight as well as early tomorrow morning. And then we're going to see the possibility of snow mainly to the west, though. Places like Hornell, you could see a few snow showers, but it looks like we stay dry from Corning toward Elmira at around 7 o'clock in the morning. As we head into the afternoon, it looks like all of us will have that possibility of an isolated snow shower or so. And then by 1 o'clock, it looks like it presses off to the east. That cold front will come in and it will drag much colder air in. It's going to get pretty blustery by the end of the day on Fridays. More snow showers behind that low pressure system that will be moving through. So it looks like places like Schuyler County, we could see a few snow showers that will make its way into our area, and then more snow for early on Saturday as well. So here's a look at your snowfall estimates. Anywhere between about 1/4 of an inch in Elmira to about 1 inch in Ithaca. Bath, it looks like maybe just a few flurries, but Hornell could pick up about 1 inch or so. So definitely you need to sweep away the snow on the sidewalk or even have to shovel it as we head into the next couple of days. Definitely cold tonight. We plunge down to around 28 degrees in Corning, 30 degrees in Elmira. More snow showers tomorrow with highs in the mid-30s. Then take a look at those highs over the weekend. Only in the 20s, 31 degrees on Monday, and then we plunge back down into the 20s as we head toward the middle of next week.
If nearly everyone would wear a mask, we could drastically slow the spread of COVID-19. That's why President Biden is kicking off his presidency by encouraging people to wear masks, and he's mandating it where possible. Mandy Gaither takes a look at what that means in today's Health Minute.
Before becoming the 46th president of the United States, Joe Biden made his stance on masks clear.
For God's sake, Wear a mask, if not for yourself, for your loved ones, for your country.
In his first executive order, President Biden enacted the 100 Days Masking Challenge. While the president can't tell states or cities what to do, a federal mandate will require anyone on federal lands or in federal offices to wear a mask. It also urges states to do the same. A recent study led by UCLA researchers and published in the January edition of the peer-reviewed journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that if everyone would wear a mask in public and continue health measures like social distancing and hand washing, the rate of the coronavirus spread would essentially be reduced to zero. The researchers say public mask wearing is the most effective at reducing the spread of the virus when compliance is high. In a statement, co-author Anne Ramoyne says this research makes clear that even as vaccines are developed and new variants are being discovered, the power to protect ourselves remains in our hands, adding, wearing a mask is one of the simplest, most effective, and cheapest ways to do exactly that.
One of the highlights of Joe Biden's inauguration was the poem recited by the nation's young poet laureate. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden invited Amanda Gorman to the podium, but it was a very special moment for Amanda's grandmother back in Sacramento. Brandy Cummings has her inspirational story.
We've braved the belly of the beast.
The world watched as she recited a poem at today's historic inauguration.
Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken.
No one more proud than this woman who watched from her Sacramento home. You see, 22-year-old Amanda Gorman is Bertha Gorman's granddaughter. Bertha says she's not surprised that her granddaughter was given this special honor. The young woman has a long list of accomplishments. She's a Harvard graduate and published author. It was during Amanda's performance at the Library of Congress that First Lady Jill Biden saw her and made sure the young poet would be part of the presidential inauguration.
This is her twin sister, and this is her cousin.
A grandmother's love spans the distance. While Amanda gains international fame, Bertha proudly shows off the old pictures of Amanda, her twin sister, and cousins. But the incredible moment for the family is not lost on her, a woman who grew up in the segregated South.
This day is very impactful because it's so historic. I mean, to be with the first Black woman of color who has been elected as the Vice President of the United States. I mean, that is historic. And for her to be a part of that is beyond fantastic.
As for what's next, Bertha says Amanda plans to run for president, something she's not shy about revealing.
We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny Black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother, can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one.
The president's announcer made his return for the inaugural parade yesterday. Kate Amara introduces us to this 93-year-old Maryland man to talk about his unique place in history.
Every time is like the first time. It's exciting, playing with the big boys.
He is an Inauguration Day institution. 93-year-old Charlie Brotman, former voice of the Washington Senators, and the president's announcer for every inaugural parade since Eisenhower, until he was replaced 4 years ago.
I was down, really down, and this really picked me back up, allowing me to make a comeback.
He is back on the job in 2021. The pandemic turned this into a virtual parade for the American public, and that's how Mr. Brotman turned in his voice work. Recorded it over Zoom, he told us today, in an interview, also over Zoom, from his home in Silver Spring, a home he's invited us into every 4 years for 2 decades now, to share his souvenirs and old scripts and his take on past presidents and their parades.
What about Reagan, the first one?
Mr. Showbiz. That was the best parade ever.
Brotman has always called President Obama's parade in 2009 his favorite of them all, though we suspect President Biden's in 2021 will stand out for a different reason.
I love doing it, and I'll be sitting back watching and listening where I couldn't do that before.
Bernie gets a bobblehead during President Joe Biden's inauguration ceremony Wednesday. An image of Senator Bernie Sanders sitting on a folding chair with his arms crossed went viral. That apparently inspired the National Bobblehead Hall of Fame to create its latest product, which is a figure of the independent senator from Vermont, complete with a mask. Officials with the company say the individually numbered Bernie bobbleheads are expected to be available in May at a cost of $25 a piece. Amazing video of the will of a wilderness to survive, helping wildlife experts breathe a sigh of relief. Jeremy Roth explains in today's Take a Look at This.
How many elk can you spot in this amazing footage captured over Colorado by wildlife officials? Biologists took flight to survey elk herd populations following a massive wildfire that raged for months. Fortunately, experts say the devastation doesn't appear to have impacted herds, which are being tracked in part using GPS collar technology. In case you're still trying to count, I'll just skip to the answer. One biologist classified roughly 4,200 elk during the single 7-hour flight. Well, it's a new day in America with a new president, and celebrations of all kinds unfolded to commemorate the changing of the guard, like the massive fireworks display that lit up the night in the nation's capital. And while some celebrated bigly with a bang, others boogied, like these dancing mailboxes in California that chose to honor the hard work of United States postal workers with signs reading, "We delivered democracy." It was put on by the UC Davis Department of Theater and Dance in Berkeley. And finally,
all right, I just got my vaccine, and I would recommend it to anyone and everyone. Come with me if you want to live.
Arnold Schwarzenegger channeled his iconic Terminator role while getting the COVID-19 vaccine.
Come with me if you want to live.
The former governor received the vaccination at Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles and urged all eligible residents to follow his lead and do the same. He later shared the video, tweeting, "I've never been happier to wait in a line." For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. There's some good news for sky gazers who still like sending messages the old-fashioned way. The U.S. Postal Service shining a spotlight on the sun in 2021. NASA's images of the star at the center of our solar system can be found on forever stamps. NASA official Thomas Zurbuchen says it's inspiring to be able to share the excitement of studying the sun with people all across the country. The 20-stamp set is comprised of 10 different images, including the sun's coronal loops and ultraviolet light. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great night.